Hello, welcome back to the road to episode 8. My ongoing series where I chart the road to the release of Star Wars episode 8, The Last Jedi, on the 13th of December 2017. And yes, the 14th and 15th of December 2017 around the rest of the world. We're almost at the end. Still Monday the 11th of December. Connie's now back, actually, from the pool tournament. She did terrible. She lost every single match, and that doesn't surprise me either.
I won 2, and I lost 1.
And look at her, she's wearing the same sweater she's been wearing for the past 2 days. Unbelievable. Just, you know.
It's knit. You don't have to really wash it that often.
Oh, and she actually knitted this for me, which is pretty damn impressive.
This for me.
Yeah, it's damn impressive.
We're wearing me.
Wow. Okay, that's a quote. Right, now, about to watch Empire Strikes Back. I think Connie might watch bits of it, not really paying full attention, that's fine. And it's again the same thing I talked about with the last video, the film print version. It's my favourite film ever, and so it's one of those things where it's just like it's been over-explained. You know, it's like, hey, let me tell you why the Beatles are a great band. It's like, yeah, we get it, you know. And I kind of expressed disdain in the earlier video for everyone going, yeah, Empire's the best, Empire's the best. You know, even though I'm in agreement. And I think Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars film, and it's my favourite film. You know, things can get overpraised sometimes, and I'm definitely... I think people who don't enjoy this film as much as people like me probably get really sick of everyone talking about how great this film is, but
no.
The fact remains, you know, it's just, I love it. I love it so much, and the memory...
You cry about it?
I
love it so much.
Don't push me. You know, just the feeling of watching this for the first time, when my stepdad had finally roped me into it, and there's a sequel, and it had Yoda in it, and it had more Darth Vader, and it had Cloud City, and you know, Hoth, and just all these different locations, and then at the end of it, you get the big reveal. And I remember lying on the carpet and just being like, can I watch the next one now? Yes, you can. Holy shit, this is the best day of my life. Obviously, I didn't think holy shit, but so excited, and that's my only real memory of watching the original trilogy is number 1, not being interested in R2-D2 and C-3PO in the desert. I don't have any memory of rewatching Star Wars and loving it. I just know that I did, and I have that memory of not even watching the end of Empire. I don't remember my reaction to Luke and Vader and the whole reveal, but I just remember after it finished looking excitedly at my stepdad and saying, can I watch the third one now? And them saying that I could. Anyway, that's kind of jumping ahead, but loved the film, and I haven't watched it in about a year or so, so it's about time. And this is the first time watching it in the film print version, which I'm excited about. And I got a beef taco dinner ready to eat. On with the film. And Connie's already flicking around with her Rubik's Cubes, so. Alright. Yeah, it's such like a goofy title as well. The Empire Strikes. I mean, the whole series is based on those goofy, you know, old serials, but yeah, it's just kind of funny. And that was the first time that Episode 5 was introduced when this film came out. And everyone's like, what? It's the 5th one? I thought it was Star Wars 2. But, yeah. It's the 5th one, apparently.
You don't know everything about women.
Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Oh, no. Oh. I mean, I know she's just trying to shove it in Han's face, but Luke's look there.
She does it every time we watch it, too.
Well, I never understood why George didn't take that out of the special editions, you know. But, oh well. It is what it is, I guess. About halfway through the film, roughly now, Luke is in Dagobah, Han and Leia are off hiding in the asteroid field, and Vader's up to his usual tricks. I love how the film opens with the big battle sequence. It's pretty cool. They kind of flip the conventions of what you would expect, and the ending is more of a personal conflict. I mean, there's action in the end, but the big, you know, battle is at the beginning, and they really... I just love how they didn't make it easy for themselves. They could have done another big space battle, but they did it on this snow plane, which was just like the worst possible thing they could have done, technically. To do those kind of special effects on... Technically, to do those kinds of special effects on a white background is like the hardest thing to do to make it seamless. Back then, working with practical effects. But you know, that was the way they wanted to go with it, and so they're still pushing the boundaries. And yeah, watching it now on the original film print version in high definition, you can see a lot of those effects. You can see, you know, where it's a little bit ropey at times. But again, I love the ambition, and always have, of what George tried to do with these films. But I also love that he was okay with handing it off to other writers and directors. With this film, we get, you know, George didn't write the film, he didn't direct the film. We have Irving Kershner doing the directing. We had a number of people worked on the script, but it was mainly Lawrence Kasdan, who would then go on to do Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. And the script is great. Like, there's a lot of great lines, but the most enjoyable part of it for me so far is the Han and Leia banter back and forth. It's just really funny, you know. Would it help if I got out and pushed? It might, you know. And 3PO is like proper... I feel like you're waiting to do something. You're kind of sitting there very purposefully.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit in the light when you're done in cube.
In cube.
Until I go to bed.
Until you go to bed, okay. Yeah, just Rupert's cubing all the time. Oh, I thought we were going to do some sort of flickering or whatever.
No, that's what made it more funny, because I didn't do shit!
Muttley laugh. What was I even talking about? 3PO is like full on this film, but I think it really works. He's just funny. I don't know, everything just seems to work in this, and yeah.
It's just a sound that came out.
You did the I'm about to say something sound.
No, it was like I was gonna yawn.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but whatever. Moving on. There's nothing more to say really. I'm enjoying watching it and revisiting it as always. That's all there is to say. It's Empire Strikes Back. It's great. So, on with the film.
I'm not afraid. You will be. You will be.
Bit ominous. You can really see the scratches on the print, and it has a charm to it. I don't know. I like the scratches. I like the imperfections. Though I would love a restored, cleaned up, high definition, super duper Blu-ray, but without any of the changes, obviously. But for now, this is about as good as it's gonna get, and it's pretty damn good. Alright, done with Empire Strikes Back, and it is just gone midnight. So kinda didn't really end up watching any of it, really. Just more content playing with the Rubik's Cube and stuff. But I loved it. I always do. It's Empire Strikes Back. It's my favourite film. And I'll be the first to admit it ain't perfect. There's quite a few things I don't like about it in terms of nitpicky things. More technical things like the slow motion in the Luke cave scene is a little bit. There's something off with the frame right there. It's not as smooth as traditional slow motion. I wish it was. At the very end of the film, when Luke and Vader are kind of having this Force conversation, it kind of fades in very abruptly between the two. I wish it would just be a nice cross-cutting sequence. I mean, yeah, very minor nitpicks. Although, you know, again, just things like tiny things. There's a bit where Han finds out that Lando Calrissian is in the Bespin system. He's like, oh, he's in the Tabana gas mine operation. I wonder who he swindled to get that. And then at the when he meets Lando, he's oh, so the gas mining's still working out for you, which doesn't add up because it makes it seem like he already knew about it when he didn't. So I don't know, a few things here and there, but you know, I'm just trying to find things to say negative about it because you know everyone loves it and rightfully so. It's a fucking fantastic film. The Yoda stuff is just, I mean, Yoda just is one of the best characters ever. And such a wonderful creation from the mind of George Lucas, the words of Lawrence Kasdan, the voice of Frank Oz, the performance of Frank Oz, and then the design and creation from Stuart Freeborn, who based the look of Yoda not just on himself but on Einstein. You know, so you get this weird. I mean, if you look at Stuart Freeborn pictures of him, he looks like Yoda. You know, so he put himself into that and. All these elements coming together, even John Williams' music, that I feel is really key to Yoda's character in a lot of his most pivotal scenes, I think. But how you have the reveal of Yoda being Yoda is fantastic. You know, when he's introduced as this funny little frog character who doesn't seem to be anyone of any importance, and so Luke kind of disregards him. And you know he's very like, oh, you know, just acting all goofy and stuff. And when he kind of sighs and says, "The boy's too impatient" and stuff, and turns around, and then Luke realizes, and then Yoda just kind of squares himself up and kind of you know, arches his back a little bit, and just the way that Frank Oz moved that puppet and the design of it that allows the articulation of the face to completely change the emotion. From, you know, oh yeah, don't worry, you know, and then just the tone. I just love it. It works so well. That Is Why You Fail scene, I think, is one of the best scenes in film history. It's just so perfectly done from every single aspect. And Mark Hamill was great in this. He had to spend months without another human to interact with in his scenes, and you know, he often said he felt like he was going crazy because he was just there in that kind of marshy, boggy Dagobah set for so long. But I think he pulled it off wonderfully. The Han and Leia stuff is just brilliant. They have such a chemistry together. There's a great story of the morning they shot the sequence on the landing platform in Cloud City when they first meet Lando. The night before, they'd been up all night partying with like Eric Idle, like all these like hugely like big names in the UK. They were partying with the night before in London. I think it's like the Rolling Stones. It's something ridiculous. Like they just had this wild bender of a night, and that's why they kind of look a little bit kind of like there's a bit where she kind of just grins at Han, and you can tell like it's more than just the scene, which is really fun. What can I really say about the film that hasn't already been said? The duel with Luke and Vader is just, again, visually, thematically, incredible. I just love it, and the reveal at the end, which, you know, is probably the most talked about twist in movie history. It has to be, right? It works, and if you boil it down, it's really just a soap opera kind of, you know, you're the father, you know, I'm pregnant, you know, it's like this goofy kind of, no, the bad guy is your father. But it just works because of everything that's been built up to that moment, and this world that's been so successfully created and just resonated with so many people, obviously. But yeah, I could go into more. John Williams score, great. Love how it's different. Again, the big battle takes place at the beginning. At the end, we get more personal. I think the Yoda character is just, again, just a wonderful creation from so many different, again, positions from the... Well, I've already talked about it, but, you know, I love the idea of film being this collaborative art form, where it's not like it was just this one guy who said, well, this is Yoda, and this is him fully formed. It's, again, all these different moving parts go into it and create something singular that is unforgettable. And I really hope that we hear from Yoda, at least, in The Last Jedi, because I think that could be a part to be played there. Even if it's as small as Obi-Wan's part was in The Force Awakens, when we hear him call out to Rey in that vision. So I'm still trying to tie these videos into The Last Jedi somehow. And I'm now like less than a day and a half away from The Last Jedi. It's getting really exciting. And a friend of mine is seeing it like in the next hour or so. So Empire Strikes Back, I won't belabor the point or waffle on about it for too long, because I'll need to review it at some point for the Epic Film Challenge too. 1001 movies you must see before you die. But it's just great to revisit it, and you know, the film print original version was great. I just love spending time with these characters, and it's not a perfect film, but it's my favorite film, and I love everything about it. It's just such a fun adventure. I love the Cloud City location. It's so gorgeous and beautiful to me. Like, that is just such a... That whole section is just a dream to me. You know, it's so cool visually. I love it. And it's just one of those... It's lightning in a bottle movie, where everything is working, everything's clicking. You have the luxury of not having to set any of the characters up. You start the film, you got Luke, you got Han, you got Leia, you know who they are. You know what their relationship with each other has been. You can kind of guess and fill in the blanks of where it has been between the first two films. But you can just get right into that stuff. And so, yeah, so you get a full 2 hours with these characters, and it's just... And again, the famous story, just in case anyone doesn't know, is that the "I love you, I know" line came from Harrison Ford, which I think is really cool, and how that influenced, you know, one of the great moments of the series was where Harrison Ford was like, well, I don't think Han would say "I love you" too. He'd say something a little bit different, and the director, Irvin Kershner, was like, well, let's roll with it. And that's another key thing. I don't think George Lucas would have rolled with that. So you have a different director, a different flavor, and a more refined script. Again, I'm just happy that George Lucas was able to do that, and he wasn't kind of, this needs to be my thing, this is my baby. I don't know whether it was fully from I can't go through the stress again, or whether it was, I'm willing to let someone else make this a better film, you know. He liked Irvin Kershner as a director, wanted him to do it, and I think that they had a friendship there. And Irvin Kershner was like, I don't want to do this. A second one can only be a second one. Direct quote from him. You know, he didn't want to make a sequel to the biggest film of all time, but he was convinced to do it, and I'm glad that he was. And it's still the only Irvin Kershner film I've ever seen. I know Blu-ray of The Eyes of Laura Mars just came out. I should check that out, but you know, I should probably see more films from the director of my favorite film ever, I think. But it's, man, it's just, it's so good. It's Empire Strikes Back. And that's that.